Speaking of which, should we
Yeah,
talk about
let's,
your
yeah, I
friendly
was gonna say,
neighborhood
let's
Spider-Man?
get into the finale 2 episodes. I just want to say, we both were of the same mindset going into the show before it had even come out, that we were like, we're pretty confident that this could be good. We're fine with the animation style. We're not writing this off. We're hopeful that this is a solid and good show. Lots of people, though, before it even was out, wrote this off. Oh, show's gonna be shit. Looks shit. Animation style is terrible. We don't want this. We just want Spider Verse. All these different things. But I'm sorry, but all the haters were wrong. The show has been incredible throughout the whole of this season, from episode 1 all the way through to the end, and has me so excited for season 2.
Oh, major star.
Like, so they set up so many, like we keep saying each week, oh, they just keep adding layers. I feel like the finale just was like, oh, those layers that we've like sprinkled, no, here are all the things we've set up. Like, this show is set for the long run, and I'm very excited for it.
So, obviously we're gonna jump about as we always do,
Yeah.
especially when multiple episodes drop at the same time. Big takeaways for me: the using of the spider that they were creating from Peter's DNA and creating a time loop where he creates himself. Fucks incredibly hard. I like it.
Yeah,
I like the way they built to it a little bit, where it's like, "Oh, you destroyed the school." You thought I did no such thing. I'm like, "No, you definitely did. We saw that."
So when he said that, and I was like, wait, are we dealing with a multiverse thing? Like, it was a different Strange. And
That was
then
where I was kind of going as well.
and then it started to click. Like, I think it was when the symbiote jumped through.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, it's the same one. And then they broke the wall of the, like, Peter got thrown through the wall and the spider comes out of its face. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a time loop situation. And I'm like, but then I'm like, how does this make fucking sense?
We love time paradoxes.
Yeah, when did it start? But like, I love that as they kind of alluded, like they sort of talked about it, not directly that was this, but Peter says like everything's meant to happen for a reason, and it's almost like what we kind of guessed of, maybe this Peter hadn't got like the spider tone thing of like he should have been bit, and we originally thought maybe he was never meant to be bit and he got bit by a random spider, but more so it found a way to make sure he was bit.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I love the tease of a potential symbiote Spider-Man next season and where that may lead.
Especially
or
after
maybe
your
season 3
theory with Harry that you were saying about, oh, we need this symbiote suit to make Peter be a bit more angry to him. And then it's like, oh, we're setting up in that way, maybe?
I enjoyed Peter bordering on going too far. I said part of the problem with Peter in recent years has been he's been kind of purified as having no issues. Him almost going too far is a very Peter Parker thing to do, especially young Peter Parker, who's so full of anger. Seeing Otto in his cell drawing on all the paper,
sketching out his idea for his
fun
arms.
like visuals.
Yeah.
Knowing that all of the tests that are going on Oscorp when we found out about the spider, but knowing that everything else is happening was very interesting. And that things are happening, and it shows that, like I was saying last week about how like the slow burn, if you don't know Norman's a bad guy, this show is giving you a bit of that slow burn. They went, right, now we're going to make it obvious that even if he's not a bad guy, he's not a good guy.
Yeah, the moment the interns found out that their inventions had been used for something they didn't agree to help build, and this like sudden, oh, he has noble, like in his head he thinks he's on a noble cause, but really he's just used a bunch of people to get what he wants. And the way he like egged on Otto when he visits him in prison was very much like, oh, this, if you didn't know, like you'd be like, oh, he's very self-centered here.
part of it as well is, if you think about it, before these episodes, the only times you saw Norman in the show were when he was interacting with Peter.
Mm,
So you kind of got to see how Peter was viewing him.
yeah.
And then, like, the last 2-3 episodes, you saw him when Peter wasn't there a little bit, which gave you a bit of idea of what he's actually like, which I think that's brilliant writing. Not even a case of, oh, that's good writing for a kid's show or for a cartoon. That is just brilliant writing in unveiling a character's true intention.
Mm-hmm.
But then the last, like, 10 minutes of the finale sets up a lot. So Harry's creating a non-profit, which is going to go out and hire a bunch of geniuses.
Yeah, called Web.
I went through the names on his whiteboard.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So obviously we had the people who were already interns.
Yeah.
So one of them is obviously Wakandan, which has its own connotations.
Yeah.
Amadeus Cho is a Hulk. The other girl is the character Finesse, who we saw suiting up with Daredevil at the end.
This is what I was going to ask. Who the fuck is that? Working with Daredevil, because it's obviously the intern girl.
So her character is Finesse.
Okay.
So on that board, we had Max Dillon, which is a name you might recognise as Electro.
Okay, yeah.
We had a couple of members that I'm not as familiar with that were a part of another team at some point called Girl, but Girl is an acronym, so I don't know what they are. But a couple of the names on that board were part of that team. Who else did we have up there? We had a couple of other heroes, and in amongst that list of actual characters, you also had the art director and the director of the episode.
That's cool.
I assumed most of them were just going to be people because I didn't recognise a lot of the names.
Yeah.
But so some cool names up there that are worth keeping an eye out for. Definitely teases for people that we can potentially expect to see.
So is Web something that is in the comics that Harry sets
Not
up?
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
There has been a couple of different arcs where Harry tries to use money to do good.
Okay. So sort of similar idea.
And like it's to an extent it's similar to kind of the story of Spider-Man 2 the game. Harry is essentially revived by Venom.
Right.
The symbiote, and that makes him well enough because he'd been really ill to come back, and he starts up like a let's heal the world project.
Got you.
And then when the symbiote takes over, it becomes a let's fix the world.
Got you.
And then you've got different connotations. So they're definitely looking at the entire Spider-Man mythos, not just the comics, which I don't actually dislike. I think it's doing quite a good job. I think the biggest kind of wow for me personally was the reveal that Richard Parker is alive and he's in prison.
Because I'm right in thinking that Peter's dad usually always dies in a plane crash. Isn't that the usual thing, that his parents died in a plane crash?
For the longest time, it was just kind of respected that Peter's parents were dead.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly when it changed. I'm pretty sure in the original Ultimate Universe, it got changed. Look, they were dead, but they died as S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Right.
They weren't just people who died in a car crash or a plane crash. They were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Then in the Amazing Spider-Man films, they toyed around with the idea of Richard Parker not being dead. In, I believe, a deleted scene. Can't remember if it made the cut or not.
I can't remember.
So they've clearly been playing with this idea on a few different occasions. I don't know if they've ever really done anything major with it. But yeah, it's kind of like the Parkers are dead. All that anyone has is May. The more interesting part than just Richard Parker being alive and being in prison is the fact that May knows about it and Peter doesn't.
Yeah, so she's hiding it for whatever reason.
So I'm very curious about that.
I wonder if... Now, this is also kind of like my brain almost, like in that moment of trying to remember what usually is the case with Peter's dad, my brain was thinking, oh yeah, his dad's usually in prison. And then I was like, no, that's the Flash. Because obviously, like, from the CW show and stuff, I wonder if they go, like, similar to the Flash's thing of, like, his dad's in prison for apparently murdering his mum, but maybe he didn't. And he was framed somehow. Maybe that's what they're going to go with. Like,
and
or
another
it's a fall guy for S.H.I.E.L.D. or something.
And another insane revelation. The Watcher.
Oh, yes. I was spotted him.
Just chilling in the sky. That is never a good sign.
I think that's just them trying to tie in, like, all of this is MCU connected, like the animated.
I'm going to be honest. I use the Watcher being there as further evidence of my theory of post
Soft
Secret
reboot.
War. This is going to be the new canon backstory of the MCU Spider-Man.
I mean, possibly. Like, I took it as like that. I think that, to me, I was like, that's their way of being like, this is an alternate universe, because the only time we've really had the Watcher has been in the What If stuff.
I would love them to hide the Watcher in a live action film.
It would be cool.
Like in the clouds, but not like in such like a obvious way like they do in the animated, because
I
there's
know what
more
you mean.
design there. But like a cloud formation shaped and it looks like the Watcher. Like that'd be fucking awesome. But these final 2 episodes delivered massively.
This other thing, well, obviously we mentioned Lonnie and he's turning like that silvery stone color. I did think that like the gas went off and I was like, oh, he's gonna come out of the van and he's gonna see his skin's already started changing. And then he hadn't. I was like, oh, maybe they're not gonna go for like the proper comic booky like
design
look. But then by the end of the episode, like the finale, when they showed his fingers are starting to show it more, I was like, oh, it's gonna be a slow burn, to which I think it's going to add on to Peter kind of then having to fight Lonnie and then sort of not click straight away. Yeah, I think he's going to be like, I can help you. He's not like he's going to be so busy and he can't help him or something, and then it's just slowly he's going to be like, oh, you're now like, I want to help you, but you're making so I have to fight you, sort of attitude. Nico with the amulet definitely tried to tease us into thinking she was about to use whatever powers to stop that truck, and then Peter lands in front of her. But at the end, she talks to her mum. So then I'm like, originally I was thinking after the last set of episodes, oh, it's something that she doesn't realize yet because it kind of just happened in a flash. No, she's well aware of what this amulet is, and she's obviously hiding that from Peter.
Obviously, I've not done the character profile on her yet, and it's not a character I know particularly well. I'm not going to be shocked when I do the character profile if I learn that that amulet doesn't actually contain her mum, and it's someone who's manipulating her by pretending to be her mum. That's the kind of shit you can expect from Magic. Like, you've played D&D. Like, you think it's a long lost relative that you get to commune with. In reality, it's a horrible demon that's trying to
I know.
Get you to do horrible things.
Yeah, there's obviously a potential that it's like some ancient artifact that's just pretending to be her parents. But I thought it was interesting she knew.
Absolutely. And after like the No More Secrets conversation as well.
Yes.
That was interesting. But it almost looked like she was about to tell him, and then he was like, no, you're in danger, I've got to get you out of the way. So I don't know if she will tell him, and she's just trying to get the nerve up.
Yeah, I think after he said that and left and she looked at it, I was like, okay, she's knows something. And then obviously the thing at the end, I was like, I think she is gonna tell him, or she's not gonna know how to tell him, and something's gonna happen where it then reveals, like she reveals she can do something, and Peter's gonna be like, what the fuck? And then it's gonna be flipped of like, he's gonna be annoyed at her for not telling him, but then realize, oh, this is what I did to you. And then check himself, maybe. Oh, his new suit. So much better.
Gorgeous.
So
pretty.
I'm glad they went this way about it. Like, I know people were like, why did they pick the Future Foundation's colors? Like, I get that annoyance, but I'm glad that that was kind of a red herring and they've given us a proper suit.
My only wish, and it would have made so much sense for Norman Osborn as well, is if they'd have made the original Osborn suit that he had green and purple.
Yeah, more Osborn colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I would have preferred that, because that would have been like and then it's a really clear indication like of the arc of the last 2 episodes of him leaving Osborn and being Spider-Man. Overall, this show was much better than I think we could have reasonably anticipated. We thought it would be okay. We didn't think it would be bad. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm really curious to see what they do with the characters and the stuff they set up for season 2. Knowing that season 3 is coming as well means that maybe not all of the stuff we saw at the end of this gets answered straight away.
No, I don't think so.
'Cause
I think
a
the
lot of stuff
symbiote
got set up.
stuff. Yeah, I think the symbiote stuff, like Osborn finding it at the end, he's obviously going to keep that one very locked in on. I think that'll be him and the old guy working on that. Obviously, Dr. Connors was unsure about what Osborn was doing, which I'm intrigued to see how that then pushes her to
elsewhere.
Yeah, to work on the animal stuff.
I've got to be honest. I have an idea.
She's going to go work at Peter's thing.
I'd like to see Connors go to ESU, Empire State University. Sorry. And they don't really deal with her as a problem until the finale, like season 3, when that's like
have it come back later.
Like, I'm okay if they want to, depending on how long they want this show to run in an ideal world, to have her be a recurring mentor to Peter. And then once he's in college and she's his professor, have it go wrong then.
Yeah. Or with them setting up this web company, maybe she finds out about that and she says, she sees that as like, oh, I'd love to help you with this. And while she's there, she starts messing around with animals and they think, oh, this is cool, she's doing something for good. And then it's like they're blind to this and she's a mentor there.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see how it goes, but it's awesome. They did do what we were hoping they would do, and as the season went on, they did use more and more of that comic panel style.
Yes, they did.
Art style. I hope they realise how much people enjoyed that and lean on it even more in season 2.
This might be just placebo, but I feel like the final web swinging moment when he's like having his like Spider-Man moment at the end felt like it was animated smoother than back at the beginning of the whole season.
I just think it was a higher quality animation. I think they put a lot more effort into that final scene. I don't think a conscious decision was made at a la Spider-Verse where they animated him smooth to show he'd learn.
Kind of my brain was going
I think they went, this is the final swing, which is a big thing in Spider-Man films. We're going to make this look gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think that was more what happened. And as a side effect, it made him look even slicker.
Yeah, possibly.
But he looked slicker in the red and blue suit, full stop.
Well, yeah, he did.
But I couldn't love this show more. At the minute, I'm binge watching all the Defender stuff, ready for Daredevil.
Daredevil coming.
But if you don't need to do that, or if you've already done your binge watch and you haven't watched the show yet, it's an absolute must watch as far as I'm concerned.
For sure.